What's up, everyone? This is Peter from Cigar Builders Collective. I'm one of the owners of Cigar Bands and Farmhouse Blends. And today I have Ash Vine here on the podcast. Feel free to introduce yourself and a little bit about what you do and where you're at.
Yeah, how you doing? So my name is Alvaro Ponevaca. They call me Babyface. I'm the owner and founder of Ash Vine Cigars. So we have a retail store in downtown Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Been in the industry for quite some time, married into the industry. It's been learning as we go, and I'm also an aspiring brand owner as well. So definitely also a customer of Cigar Bands as well. They take the liberty of making the band for our store blends, and excited to be on, man. Thank you for having me.
Sweet, dude. So how long has it been since you got established in the space? Like, what made you want to get into this? Like, what was the initial idea? Tell me a little bit about like the origin story of Ash and Vine.
So the origin story, obviously, I mean, it's almost like a one in Rome moment because, you know, I since I married my wife's side of the family, they have a company called ASP Enterprises. So when any brands are looking to get some great tobacco, that's the company you would definitely want to buy from. And just being in that world, married into that world, getting exposed to the cigar culture, right? So there I started gaining my love for the cigars. I even helped them out in the warehouse a couple of times doing offers. So just sitting in the room with the blenders and the owners of the cigar companies, just hearing them in terms of like the talks and whatnot, everything that goes towards into the cigar just made me really appreciate, you know, the art and professionalism that it takes to even make these things. My love for it just kept growing, and I have a culinary background, so I love cooking and all that stuff. So it's literally just, I related it to the same way. You know, so it just went from there. And I've always kind of I always want to be in the industry in some way, somehow, but I was trying to figure out how to do it kind of like on my own terms. So I would help them once in a while, but, you know, just to, you know, I always say this, but I didn't, you know, my wife is already my boss. I didn't need her to be my real boss as well. I didn't need her to be my boss, you know? So I kind of was kind of doing my stuff on the sideline. I was in culinary and then finance. And but I was always known as a cigar guy because of the being married into the family. So long story short, I'm a branch manager at the downtown Citibank location in Fort Lauderdale. Across the street is a cigar shop at the time was called Ultimate Cigars and Fine Wines, owned by Moso Hill. He was in the industry for years, and that guy had a honey hole. I would bring people in there for about a year, show them what to buy, what to do, what they want to get into. So the guy basically asked me, how do I know so much about tobacco? Because I not only spoke about the cigars, but we also talk about, you know, where it came from, the flavor, you know, what makes the intensity of the flavor, things like that, yada, yada, yada. He basically asked me how do I know so much about tobacco. My family grows half of the stuff that's in there. And he goes, if I want to know somebody wants a good idea, and here we are.
Sweet, man.
Yeah.
So before I move forward, what's behind you? Are you in your own lounge, or is this like at home, or?
This is my little home bar. I just figured, oh my God, I think this is probably the coolest and quietest spot. I'm here with my
What a great backdrop, man. You crushed it with this thing. I mean, I wasn't sure if this was like so did you build that yourself, or did you have someone help you with all of that?
Well, no, so I have some of the stuff, like, you know, like the cigar mold here and the Espinosa warhead, like that stuff is in my office typically. This is just strictly my bourbon library. So I just basically, you know.
And you all based out of Florida as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
Sweet, man. Us too. So I'm in Orlando. You're in Fort Lauderdale, you said?
Yeah, but I'm constantly in Orlando all the time.
Right line away. The nice thing about, for those who are watching, if you're not from Florida, because we have a lot of people domestically, internationally, probably who will be viewing this, but in Florida, they have this new thing called the Bright Line. So it's like a very nice train system that will take you from Orlando all the way down to Fort Lauderdale and Miami, and like that zips. But who knows, man? I think that's maybe next time what we'll do is we'll do this thing in person. That might be a little bit of a better situation.
Yeah, I'm literally a rock's throw away from the Fort Lauderdale station, the Bright Line station. So you get off the station, I'm right there.
You guys are doing more of the manufacturing side. Is that what you would say you are?
So pretty much my role specifically is more on the retail side. So in terms of actually having a store and all that stuff, so that's my main thing. But my side of the family is more of like the manufacturing in terms of growing the tobacco itself.
So that's what made you get the idea of like starting your own house brand, because you have basically your own cigar now. What was the idea and ideology behind that?
Yeah, so I'm still finicking around and see in terms of like my real true brand. I don't want to call the shop as like a research and development, but it's pretty much like a gigantic form of research and development. So since I already know exactly, basically I already know where the source of the tobacco I'm going to be purchasing from once I have a cigar brand, hopefully. And then owning the store, I kind of get a nice insider look, the general population of what do they like, what do they not like, what works, what doesn't work. So it's kind of like a way I'm kind of learning from the other people's mistakes and their accomplishments, right? We also do events, private events, and I work with a roller. His name is Raul, and he does a lot of, he does hand rolls for us right there when we do events, offsite events. So he made a blend for the store. I have a couple of different blends, Habano, Maduro, and a Connecticut specifically. And so we just, I just carry some of his blends in my store just to make sure. But in terms of actually having my own private blend, like full blown private blend from box all the way from leaf to box, that's in the works.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So where is the store also in Fort Lauderdale?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about the store. I'm curious to know, like, maybe give me the rundown. Is there a website too I can show everyone on the screen?
Yeah. So Ash Vine Cigars. So you can also go cigars.com or in our Instagram. We have tons of more engagement on our Instagram than anything.
Ashandvine.com, you said?
AshandVineCigars.com.
VineCigars.com. Beautiful. Oh yeah, it's a nice site.
Yeah,
so you guys are in downtown Fort Lauderdale, huh?
Yeah, literally downtown Fort Lauderdale.
And how long has the store been open for?
So the store with the previous owner, he was since like the late 90s. My location specifically probably around like 2002. So I took over in 2023. So when I took over, that guy to me already had a honey hole, and going through now that his inventory became my inventory, the amount of
you kind of did it differently than other people. You purchased it from someone is what I'm getting at.
Correct. Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's cool. So this is a little bit different than this is much different than what I've had in the other podcasts. So how was that experience? I think for people, like, there might be some people watching who already like are looking to do like an industry switch. You get a lot of those people that, they may already be in another industry and have success or they're semi-retired and they want to come into this industry more as a retirement project. How was the process of buying another business and then entering into their realm? Like, was that an easy transition for you, or did you find that to be harder than starting yourself?
There's challenges in both realms that I would say. One thing about buying a location that's already been established is that everybody knows you're already there rather than going somewhere else. And then you don't have to deal with, obviously, if you have an own independent space, you're golden. But since for me, I'm in a shopping center, so I have neighbors to my right and left. So that's always a challenge, especially if you're moving into a new space and you have neighbors. They might not be welcoming to you. But in my case, they already were aware this was a cigar shop, and I just took over, so it's just business as usual for them. We did have little issues. I'll get to that when we get there, but everything, obviously, I feel like everyone is kind of an uphill battle. Just mostly depending on the store that you purchase, if the reputation is good or not. So with mine was a bit of I had an understanding, but also a surprise, right? So basically, the guy who I bought the store from used to be one of the most loved people in Fort Lauderdale, and then instantly became one of the most hated people in Fort Lauderdale. And I did not know that because I had no issue with him, but a lot of people did. I found out the hard way. Put it this way. When I first opened my doors, is this like an explicit language place, or do I have to be clean?
It's okay. It doesn't matter to me.
Okay, so basically, the first day I opened my doors, customer walks in, he comes in, he goes, "Place looks different." I'm like, "Yeah," and he goes, "Where's Mo?" I'm like, "No, he's not here anymore." And he goes, he sold it? "Yeah." "To who?" "To you." I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Thank God, fuck that cocksucker." So,
no way. That was a customer, but the customer came back.
The customer, yeah, he walked in because I had a new management sign in the front, and but at that point I was gonna keep the original name because the guy's been around since late '90s with Ultimate Cigars and Fine Wine. So I was like, why am I gonna change it? Let me keep it. But instantly when I kept having that same reception from multiple people coming in,
oh God,
I gotta change everything.
Oh no, dude, that's scary, bro. That's bad.
Yeah. So
definitely a story to learn from right there for people. So
do your homework, because I didn't know the guy's personal life. Most of my work was in the business itself. What I ended up doing, I didn't necessarily buy the business from him. What I did was I just took over the lease and the inventory. That's it. Because I didn't want to have any responsibilities that his corporation had, any skeletons in the closet. I didn't want to deal with that. So I just took over the lease and the inventory, and I created a whole separate LLC.
It seems like this guy. So that's a smart way to do it too. With that will kind of limit the amount of risk, especially if you're going the brick and mortar route. And you're a younger person like me. I don't know how old you are, but I'm assuming we're pretty close in age.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just 30. So for someone who's a little bit younger, sometimes I feel like, he probably didn't have any systems overhead or anything like that when you entered, or did he already have some of that stuff built?
Not really. He had a couple little smoke eaters, but they barely worked. And that's the challenge that I also faced too. Like, obviously, he told me he used to do events and he had people there smoking. Whenever I walked in, there wasn't really anybody really smoking. But again, I would always just pop in, pop out. I wouldn't really hang out in his place. Also, the place was he was a bit of a hoarder, so it was a bit of a mess in there. So even for you to sit down anywhere, you would have to move 1,000 books and boxes and stuff like that. If you go on my Instagram, I have some flashback pictures so you can go back and forth too. But
yeah, and we'll link it after and everything too. So that way, like, it all can be laid out properly. Once we get it on YouTube, it'll all be in the bios and stuff.
Okay, no problem. So I never had that issue. So then when I took over, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start doing these events and having people over, and utilizing the space, right? To create a small little lounge. I call it my tasting area. Would have continued. Then we started growing, more people started coming back, and now we have a place to chill and smoke. But now there's people smoking in the lounge. Now I'm getting my neighbors complaining. So my neighbors started complaining. No, it got so bad. There's a T-Mobile to my right. It got so bad that the people from T-Mobile were threatening legal action because their staff were complaining that they were getting sick due to smoke inhalation poisoning. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm like, well, what am I, a superhero that I'm in my space the whole time smoking? Whatever. But it's more of the odor. That's what the problem is. So I had to go ahead and install a multi exhaust system that basically, sucks up the smoke and blows it out to the back. So now we have no issues. Thankfully.
How much was getting a system like that into a retail location? That sounds crazy expensive.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, my father has some friends in high places who were able to help me out with costs.
Oh, good.
But everything, it still was a pretty penny. It came up to almost 10 grand to do the whole
wow.
system. Yeah, which it's still pricey, but it could be worse because I got a couple quotes before and they were insane.
Were you able to also, like, because I think this might be a good question for people, were you able to buy the license off of the person, or did you have to end up still going and making your own license for your new LLC?
No, part of the deal is I bought the tobacco license. He had a 2 APS system, so he sold beer and wine license package sales. So I was able to do the transfer. So that was a
nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think for a lot of people, there's a lot of animosity towards that. We set it up for ourselves.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad in Florida. Florida's a little bit of an easier state, I would say, than like somewhere like California. Yeah. And we also don't get taxed really hard out here as compared to like other states out west. Like, I'm good. We don't have to deal with that. So that's a great thing about being in Florida. How long did this entire process take, like, from start to finish, because you guys with the exhaust, to just get everything to where now I'm assuming you're at home doing a podcast. I'm assuming your place is running pretty efficiently at this point.
Yep. So at this point, thankfully, I have a full-timer or part-timer. They kind of like run the store for me, so I necessarily don't have to be there at all points in time. I do take it upon myself to be there as much as possible, but obviously I'm a father, so that kind of like takes my time as well. And I'm expecting a baby number 3 on the way.
Oh my God, congrats.
Yeah, within 3 weeks she can be here. So
oh my God, that sounds crazy. That also sounds very stressful while managing a company. So you were able to do all of this just so I can like hear you say it for other people who want to take 25 years to think about doing something while having kids, like while in the middle of like having kids and everything like that.
Yeah. So we've been open for a little over 2 years. I bought the business in March, end of March. We were able to open our doors after remodeling and inventory. Actually, I'm sorry, no. Bought the business at end of May. And then we were able to open our doors in June. And so it only took us.
This is May of what year?
2023.
So we're 2 years in, and you would say the business is already efficiently running. You don't have to be there every single day.
Correct. In terms of having me there, I have it to a point right now that everything is pretty much structured, that I don't need to physically be there at all points in time.
Wow,
if
man.
If I'm there, it's more of a plus.
That's crazy. Hats off, man. That for 2 years speed. I mean, so like, I think there's a very clear differentiation between, at least because we deal with we're the startup guys, right? So we work with a lot of boutique brands or people that are interested in 100 cigars and get started, which it's great. We have an interesting niche within the market. But the major difference, what I see between the guys, I mean, you can tell right away who's really going to make it and who's not going to make it. Is I always see the main difference is speed.
Yeah.
So for you to get something up and going that quickly, I would say for us as well, Cigar Bands was a 2-year project. We're now at the point now where we're in our 3rd year. It's up and going, but within that quickly, if you really put the effort, or your local market or whatever it may be, or brick and mortar location that's running effectively, how is, like, I guess when you were in the trenches, how was your work-life balance?
Work-life balance, I mean, again, since this is a store, our hours are pretty reasonable, but I was there majority of the time, you know, doing inventory, going through it, organizing, improving. So it was a bit of a grind in the beginning.
Nice.
So definitely it was a lot of long days for sure.
And that's fair. That's, I mean, to be expected, right? When you're the business owner, that's understandable. Would you say it was worth it at this point?
I do. I mean, it's hard work, but it's rewarding because everything you're working for is towards yourself. You're building your empire, if you will, right? So that's it definitely is a lot more rewarding, and we still got work to do. It's not like I'm finished. I can just, you know, go and vacation all year, even though some people say I'm on vacations and I should. But you know, work hard, play hard, right? But
very cool.
Yeah, we still got a ways to go to keep getting to where I want to be. And there's obviously growth that I'm looking in, either into obviously the online sector, creating an online, like an e-commerce. That's once the baby's here and she's here, then I'll be able to put my focus onto that. And then after that would be a second location I would like as well.
Now, how are you going to go about doing the second location? Are you going to just do it in the same area or distance far enough just so that they're not really touching each other? I think that's an interesting topic for people because you're already expanding. This is great.
Yeah. So instead of right now, I'm basically right off of I-95. So again, if you're from Florida, you're aware. But we're right off I-95. I would like to create another store off of our next major highway, which is I-75. So right across. So basically, work my way west.
And then what's your goal with like your e-commerce? Like, what are you trying to do online?
Online, pretty much mostly just cigars, trying to sell most cigars and accessories and whatnot. But just to have an extra branch, because I do get a lot of people, obviously, that message me out. We don't have a formal online platform yet, but we do take orders and we you know, over the phone and whatnot. But I would like it to be a lot more automated.
Got it.
That I understand that store is constantly open 24/7. So it definitely requires a lot more time. So I have a couple options right now that I'm looking into. Either my second location was one location. I was thinking about getting a second location with enough space to create the online, like the online store in the back, right? Like a warehouse kind of thing. Nice. Or literally utilize an existing warehouse space and have my own e-commerce area there, just so it's away from the store. Yeah, because the store that I have right now it's not the biggest in terms of. If we would do the e-commerce with the shipping, the boxes, things will get really tight really fast. And the last thing I want to do is be unorganized.
I see. Very interesting. So like, I mean, I guess like for you, like, where do you guys see yourself as a brand in the next like 2-year mark? Because I mean, it's only been 2 years and you're already, this is crazy. So then 5-year mark and then 10-year mark, like how do you see yourself? Either are you going to be going horizontal or where do you guys see yourself moving in the market?
Honestly, just to keep trying to improve, right? So within the 2 years, I would it's a must. Our online store needs to be established, and then also our existing store right now that we have I want to continue making improvements. One of them, I was even thinking about serving by the glass, but in order to do that, I would probably have to expand, and so there'll be options. I can take it from there. Either take over my neighbor if they're not there anymore. So that's one option. You know, utilize the space, make some sacrificial changes into the store in order to have the seating for that, whatever. Or already start looking into a second location. So that was my plan. But basically, online store is number one priority.
Got it. And then you said your family, so it's your wife's family that got you into the industry.
Yep.
So but how long have you been married? So
it's been, oh my God, I should know this on the top of my head. It's been 11 years.
Got it. So then, but were you working in the space with them before, like seeing how things worked as well, or?
I did for a little. There was a point in time that did. One of their warehouse managers had a medical issue, so I had to go in there to help out. So I was there for a couple months, helping them out. But I've always been involved. So I've even gone I've been there for offers. I've been there for packaging shipments of bales, sorting out tobacco. Also the same thing with the going to like the shows like PCA. Like I've been to the IPCPR and PCA with David as part of his like entourage, if you will, and sitting alongside him in the meetings and meeting people, learning things. So I've always been in the industry, but I've always been like on the outside. So now I like to think I have my foot inside the door.
Yeah, I think a lot of people too, they might not know what PCA is. So like we were both there, but maybe to someone who's new, like, do you recommend like those people like who are just entering, getting into that expo and going to check it out? Like, do you think that's a place for someone who's just entering the market, or do you think it's more of a better place to go when you're established? Like, what are your thoughts on the whole? Because we were there both together last year. Like, how did you like it overall?
I mean, PCA is always great. I've become friends with a lot of these people in the industry, even more so now that I have the store. So it's always to me, it's like a party with business, right? You're there, hugging, and having a great time down and you're talking numbers. So it's a nice
party,
little,
that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a nice little yin and yang that they do. They do a good job with that. But it's insanely impressive going to a PCA. If you have the chance to be able to attend, definitely do that, because everything they do for the industry is amazing, right? So they do a really good job in terms of cigar rights and all that stuff. They really help a lot with lobbying and helping making sure that what we do, what we love, continues on. Going to the expos, you get to see everybody show up, right? They're showing their new stuff. They're talking about, everybody's there. If you want to meet anybody, if you're interested in anything, the people are all there to talk to. You can have conversations with everyone, and you never know.
It wasn't like overly crowded either. Like, I feel like you can really easily have those conversations and get around the expo. It wasn't too bad. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go out too much. I only went out a little bit on the last day, but like from what I could tell, like the booths were all pretty open and easy to access. So it wasn't like, you're going to be waiting in a 3-hour line to talk to someone.
Yeah. And even by the time, most of my conversations I was having, obviously in the booths is always nuts, but when you're going around, when you're walking to and from the expo, like now all of a sudden, walking to my right, there's Rocky. Walking to my left, there's Carlito Fuente. You're going to the elevator, there's Nestor Plasencia. You're in the hotel, right? So you always run into people anywhere, and it's a really good job. It's a really good way to network. Really good.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people don't understand too about these guys is that they're just people too at the end of the day. They've built these multi-level empires. I mean, Rocky Patel and their entire team, they're very, very good at marketing, but they're just normal business owners like me and you. It's like especially as you get to like chat with them, and I haven't had too much like experience like one-on-one with them, but we talk a lot with the son. Like we talk with their son, but they're just normal people, man. They're just doing business. And that's all it really takes. It's not, I mean, this industry, I think when I look at it and I study it from inside out, you're talking about a $55.5 billion industry. People who are just starting, like, all you need is a sliver. You don't need to come out here and be the next, Plasencia Cigars. It's not necessary. It's not. You can take a small sliver just in your low enough to really live a comfortable life and do something that you like. How do you like working in the brick and mortar space, dealing with like more consumers? Because we're only on business. So like we're business to business. Like you're in a little bit of a different space where it's like you have other consumers who may not be interested in cigars as much. Like, how do you handle those types of customers who come in and like don't really have any idea of what they want?
So that's actually what gets me excited. I love it when people walk into the store and they really don't know what they're looking for, what they're looking at. Anytime I get somebody come in, I always like to ask, what's the last thing you smoked? And most of the time, when it's a novice, they're like, I don't know, Romeo and Julieta from Mexico or something like that. They had it was a Cuban, right? A Cuban. I like to take that time just to basically get to know them in terms of like, what's their palate like what do they like to drink? What do they like to eat? What's the occasion for the cigar? Get all that stuff. And that way we kind of set them up for success. And that way I gain that person's trust and they come back. I got into the industry not because of, not because of the money. They always like to say, I've gotten this advice from multiple people. If you want to make if you want to make $1 million in the cigar industry, start with 2, right? And it's you have to put the work you have to put in, you'll get it back, but it takes a little bit. But it's more of a passion, and that's what a lot of these cigar makers have, is passion. Because they're the same thing too. Where any kind of financial struggles they were going through, they're going through it as well. But they're making a lot of sacrifice, especially with the tariffs and everything that's going on. They're making all these sacrifices to make sure that we keep enjoying their product and we keep loving their product because they stand behind and they love it. So I do the same thing with my store, and I try to give everybody the best price, the best experience, and I make sure they don't leave without learning something. They don't leave without trying something new. And especially if something that I get excited about, I love it when I could recommend it to you, and then you get excited about it, because then I know that what I'm tasting, what I'm feeling with this cigar isn't bullshit. Like, it sticks. So, it always gives me. It's like that eureka moment that I love. So it's really exciting.
No, amazing, man. That's awesome, because we don't get a lot of that on our side, like people like you, which I love. Yeah. For me, I love the business to business side. I love these conversations. I'm such an objective oriented person, which is why I'm the operator. And I handle all the logistics and things behind the scenes. So with the manufacturing side, your family, like, they're a bunch of seasoned manufacturers. Like, have you had a chance to really dabble in that, or is that something you don't really want to enter into?
I mean, if they ever need me, I'll get into it. If they would honestly need me, we'll be more into the sales market in terms of actually, we sell it by the bales or containers. But yeah, we have ASP, we have farms in Ecuador, Nicaragua. We sell to a lot of major brands. A lot of people use. They like to call David, like, basically the king of a Connecticut shade wrapper, right? A lot of cigars use our wrapper. We even make like wrappers specifically for brands. So, for example, the Davidoff Millennium, that wrapper, that's a hybrid that we make specifically for Davidoff, and they're the only ones that will buy it, and we grow it for them. So it's super interesting. Anytime that I'm sitting down with David and talking with him and being there for the offers, I absolutely love it. And then it's nothing like seeing a mountain of tobacco in front of you and just digging your face into it.
It's a different side of things too, because, like, I mean, the consumer side is interesting, and I don't have as much experience with that because we came right into the business, but I love the business side, man. I like working with people like you. And I think for the viewers who are watching this right now, because some people might be like, I don't know what I want to work with or who I want to serve. I think that should be always the first place of where you start, because you can't build everything else until you know what kind of avatar you're going after. Because then everything else becomes much harder. The marketing, the sales, the operations. Like, if you don't have a person, if you're trying to sell to everyone, then at the end of the day, you're not gonna be able to service no one. Yeah. It's like, it becomes very hard to manage. So, like, for us, we kind of like have more of a rifle. This is what someone said in the last podcast, but like a rifle or sniper with a single shot, one profile, go after it. And I think for us, it's been a lot easier to build all of our systems and what we call, I guess, cigar bands and farmhouse blends, and optimize and streamline things without it turning into mass chaos, because manufacturing can get really, really crazy.
Yeah, which those are the things that I'm aware of. And when I do create my own formal brand, that's one thing I definitely have to make sure I come correct. So, for example, AJ, right? The guy's a monster. Everything that he makes is gold, right? At this point, where what hasn't he made that hasn't been fantastic or hit the top charts? So he obviously has a large demand of people to make cigars for him, because everybody wants a cigar made by AJ at this point. So what I've learned literally from him directly is that when you're ready, make sure you have everything in line. Your bands, your boxes, your labels, your wrapper, everything. Make sure you have everything in line, because there's a line of people trying to get their cigars made. And if you're next and you don't have everything correct, you're getting bumped right back to the back of the line. There's no bullshit. So it's like one of those things.
At least with us, and that's where it's very frustrating, because we work with a lot of smaller brands, so we have to help assist with that. Yeah. Where it's like, and that's something I've heard a lot from a lot of the people that come into our ecosystem, where it's like they try and work with these larger manufacturers, and I mean, if you're not ready to do it and you don't act like you're ready to be there, they won't help you.
Yeah.
They're not gonna baby you through the process. And even just setting up your box design or setting up your band design or even, you know, ensuring that you have the proper files so that we can even print on it. For a lot of people, I mean, it's just called like manufacturing a car. You have to get all these different parts. You have to get all these different pieces of tobacco to put everything together from all these different regions in the world.
Yeah.
And then you have to put it all together in one place and try and get it into the United States if that's where you're selling it. And then from there, you have the process of like distributing it and retailing it, which can be a whole nother monster. So
Whole monster. Yeah,
for a lot of people, I think they don't understand how much actually goes into it, which we're trying to level out that playing field, but it is a massive project, especially if like you're trying to come to market and build your own house line. But for someone like yourself, I mean, you knocked it out. I mean, it quadruple the speed. I mean, I have some people who come in and it's like, I've been thinking about doing this for 10 years, but I don't know where to begin. So I think like for you, like if someone's coming in and they're like, I want to make my own cigar, where would you suggest starting? Like, what do you think is the easiest place to begin or to start in a venture like this?
I mean, in terms of that, you have to make sure you do your research, right? Because most of the times, since I'm a retailer, I get a lot of people that's trying to push their cigar and try to get it into my shelves. And you got to understand that in a retail space, the retail owners gonna be very, very picky on what they put on their shelves. They're not gonna just put everything, especially if your cigar is brand new and nobody knows about it, because now there's work that's involved. I now have to sell your cigar rather than a padron sitting on the wall and that thing's gonna sell itself. Now your cigar, whatever it's called, I have to physically point it out to the people and be like, this is this, this is this. And if your cigar has no story behind it, I like to call story, like there's nothing really to talk about, nothing that makes it kind of special, you know, it's not going to work. I've seen a lot of them, and coincidentally, it just ends up always being some kind of retired cop or police, and they think that, all right, one of my boys, a lot of my guys are going to come in and they're going to buy this cigar, and it doesn't really happen. You know, you think, you know, you're gonna go in and you're gonna have all the support, but it doesn't really work out that way. Especially if you're putting more effort on the name, the label, the box rather than the actual cigar itself, pricing, the general public. There's a bunch of different little factors. So you just have to just do your research, make sure what you stick on is the right blend, and you trust the blender. And you got to know it too, because so let's say if I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna have a cigar made by, let's say, Espinosa, you got to know who's blending your cigar. You got to know Hector. You got to talk to Hector. You got to get to know him, know his blends, know his history. That way you have an understanding. You don't go ahead and you just open up a restaurant knowing how its food tastes. And just because they give you a good price, you got to make sure that they are making something that fits your palate, but you know it's going to fit other people's palates as well. And you have something that's gonna stick to the market. That's the main thing. So me having the store is kind of helping me, like I said, big R&D, figure out sizes, right? Because also cigar size is a huge thing. Blends, people's palates, people's pocket, price points, and, you know, kind of see what sticks out to them in terms of actually even the color, the labels, the bands, the boxes. All that stuff is huge, humongous factors. And so you just have to put all that into play, not just dive right in terms of blindly, like I'm just gonna make this cigar because I have a bunch of friends and they're gonna buy it. I've seen it multiple times and it never really sticks.
Of course, yeah. I mean, in the beginning, it might seem like, oh, your people are going to support you, right, when you make that first Instagram post. But I mean, real business owners know that fades real quick. So,
yeah. And they all want to.
Once you actually start having success, that support actually ends up turning into enemies. So,
correct.
You know,
yeah.
Believe it or not, like I remember when I started my first business, it was crazy. I made the Instagram post and it blew up, and I was like, this is so great. And then now it's like I'm actually having success in all of our businesses, and I could post a video like this of me on my personal page doing a podcast video, it'll get 3 likes. Yeah. So it's like, that's where it's like, if you're doing something for your friends and that's not the right way to go about it. I do have a question though. Do you have any brands that started kind of small that you carry on your shelves and that you did pick up, and why would you have picked them up? Or is there anyone that you can give reference to that is performing well that you thought maybe would not have performed well, and why they're performing well? Because I think that will give people a really good insight of like what is the retail owner's thought process behind what will do well and what I actually need to do to actually make it happen. Like, is there anyone you can think of specifically?
Yeah, one was Nick from Imago, from Imago Cigars. We've got him in relatively when he was fresh out of the market, and we got him in, and obviously we knew his story, the inspiration behind it, from the tragedy with his grandparents, with the towers and all that stuff. So at least we had a story, and then his packaging was super welcoming with the tubes that he has and the colorful, vibrant colors.
Let's do this. I'm gonna share El Mago Cigars. You said. Let me open it up here when it loads so that they can see it. Because I think that will be having an actual example of what this looks like, and maybe we'll put it in the description store, like compared to all the other cigars.
He's doing great. I mean, he had that was honestly right now he's kind of like a staple brand, so it's now he's kind of like in the mix. But obviously, what helped with that one, the most impressive thing was that was the fastest reorder that we had to do for a brand, right? When we got him in, we started pretty small. And once people saw how the cigar looked like and then how it tasted like, people came in and they were buying them by the stick, by the box, because it was welcomed really, really well and relatively quickly. So we had to, literally in 24 hours, we sold out of his cigar and we were able to get new ones, because it was also his price point was super welcoming. The packaging was fantastic. And then we
how much was his price?
For like $14-12, but they're all in tubos. Right, majority of the cigars are in tubos, and they have some kind of Miami, a Cuban flag. So
these are
that's
really cool. Here, let me. Is this the website here?
That's it. Yeah. So you see right there, like in a humidor full of brown, that sticks out. Once I put that in the humidor, you saw everybody just swarm to it like a fly to light, right? Like they just were going.
Wow, this is amazing, man.
Yeah. And it was like I kept telling people, I told them the story, behind it. The guy is a young guy. The cigar is fantastic. The price point is amazing, and it looks great. And people were just taking them, and it moved really, really fast, and they still do.
Has Miami Vice colors.
Exactly. So everybody it grabbed everybody's curiosity. Everybody that came in, they grabbed their curiosity, and now they have even a sweets line. So like I used to be able to sell like Papianas and for Miami Cigars, like his sweet lines are killing it because they also come in a little tube and it's easy. People love it.
This is amazing, man. This is really, really helpful. I think like for people to actually see this, and he's done such a nice job with the site.
And he's growing tremendously. I remember when I first saw him at his first PCA, he had a small little tiny table, just there. Nobody, he was getting some attention, but nothing crazy. Last year, that guy every time I passed by, his table was packed.
Awesome.
He's growing relatively quickly, but again,
website's very well done. It's very easy to move through. It looks to be like a Shopify store. I'm not 100% for sure on that, but I can tell you at checkout. Oh, it doesn't let me check out. So what he does is he puts I think he probably puts where the cigars are.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you can buy like swag and stuff.
Yeah, no, this might not be Shopify. This might be Wix. We'll see. I don't know if it is for sure, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it looks to be Shopify. You can tell by the checkout pages.
Oh, okay.
This is Shopify.
Yeah,
Shopify. Nico and I have built too many websites, man. So.
Yeah, the one thing I definitely need help with my end is getting my entire inventory on catalog online and with a picture. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was interesting because like Nico and I are a little bit different. We didn't do any of the brick and mortar or do any of the events or do any of the pop-ups or really do any of the in stuff. Like we definitely run a more conventional style business where it's like social media marketing, awareness ad to business funnel, business funnel to appointment to customer. And then quality service, quality product, customer becomes another customer. And then the cycle just repeats. That for us has been, that's the simplest way I can put it. Obviously, there are a lot more complexities in that. It's very, very complex. Would I say it's easier than probably doing stuff in person? No, I still think in person's always better. Have all of the compounding skills that's required to actually make something happen online. Because you can pop something up online really quickly, but it's going to take you 15 years to learn how to do it right.
Sure.
Unless you have the money to dispense to the people who know how to make it happen right. But if you don't have the vision of how to make it right, then you're going to hire a lot of freelancers to do work that's going to come out improper.
Got it.
And that's where it's like, still Nico and I do most of we run our e-commerce stores. We have to handle all of it. The same way sometimes you still have to go to your storefront. It's exactly the same. I would say it's exactly the same. I would just argue it's probably harder to find good labor to make it happen online.
Yeah.
Domestically.
Got it. Yeah.
Most of our labor is actually, believe it or not, international. We're finding people that are offshore in the Philippines or in India that do incredible work. Whereas now here in the United States, I can have people with a master's degree who can't even build a website. It's a different skill set. It's a very different skill set, right? I don't think that's where necessarily a business owner should be spending their time. I think sometimes it actually makes sense, especially if you're a retail brand. You need to connect with the other business owners who have the lounges, who have the smoke shops, who have the locations that you want to surface your cigar in, and make sure you do your due diligence and ensure that you're taking the time to looks different, that isn't the same as everyone else's brand, because if not, you will not stand out.
Correct.
Right? The police cigar band with the NYPD logo on it that says New York Cigars is not going to stand out. It's not.
Yeah.
It's just
it's been done countless of times. It's been done countless.
We do a lot of bands, and we see the projects where it's like, you know, the patterns do repeat themselves. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, they like to put their face smoking a cigar on the band. That's not going to stand out.
That's the other thing too. If for people who want to be a brand owner, they got to know as well, like when you're a brand owner, this is one thing I understand as well. Since I have kids, I know that if I do a brand, it's going to be something in the very far future. If I'm going to do my own independent cigar brand, like with my name and face.
It doesn't make any sense to start with the legacy brand. You have to build the legacy first. Like, you can't like get in the Hall of Fame without being a Hall of Famer. Does that make sense? Like, you have to play the sport first.
Exactly. So that's why I say I'll start first with the store blend, right? The cigar will be an Ash Vine Cigar, where you can only buy it from my store. And then when I have multiple locations, guess what? Now I have the cigar in multiple locations. And then eventually, if the cigar becomes popular and becomes more, then maybe I can even sell that cigar now to other off-sites, right? A hotel or whatever, golf courses, and then we go from there. And then in the future, then I could talk about the legacy brand, because when you have a legacy brand and you put your own face and your name on the box or on the label or wherever have you, everyone's going to want to meet you. So now guess what? Now you're a rock star. So now you got to go on tour. So you got to go everywhere. And
especially if you've done it right, where it's like, you know, you built the businesses before it and you already have a name in the space, then you are the brand. So it can be a double-edged sword. It can be a double-edged sword. I mean, it's like, for me to even think about stepping and doing that right now while I'm trying to run our company and manage a team. I mean, we have 30 people on our team. I can't step out of my operation to go like make a legacy brand for myself. Like, that doesn't make any sense, for at least for me. I understand that for some people it might be a different circumstance. I also don't feel like I've earned the right to do that.
Yeah.
And this is coming from someone who's successful in the space.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've earned that right.
Yeah.
I'm 30 years old. I don't have a legacy right now.
Yeah.
I want to build it first. And then from there, we can talk about it. Me and Nico can talk about whether or not San Pedro cigars might be a thing. But as of right now, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. No, but it just, that's what it is. It just takes hard work. Like, I mean, like you see Eric Espinosa, he's constantly out on tour. Rainier from HVC, he's constantly out on tour. The guy puts so much work into going into his brand that he's at every store, shaking hands, kissing babies. Well, not babies, but they're not, shouldn't be in a cigar lounge, right? But you know, shaking hands, all that stuff, because
the metaphor.
Yeah, the guy even put the paella in front of my store. Like, you know, that's how much effort puts into his brand to be able to be successful.
But it requires a ton of capital. And like, if you're scraping your last pennies to make your cigar line,
no, you're fucked.
You're setting yourself up for failure. You're not going to be able to make a legacy brand. You have to be able to market property. You have to go and show face. You have to be able to fly out. You have to be able to have the media team.
Yeah. And then do the conventions like PCA. Those things are not cheap.
Yeah. You know how much it was just for a booth? I mean, you're talking about 25 to 30 grand. That doesn't even start with inventory or anything like that. I mean, you're going to pay an arm and a leg to get yourself out there with flights, with food, with bringing your team.
Yep. Dredge fees, all that stuff. Yeah.
And that's to even have a chance.
Yeah.
That still doesn't guarantee you success. I saw a lot of booths out there that didn't have many people at them.
Happens all the time. It's I mean it's a beautiful industry, but it could be cutthroat as well, you know, if you don't come correct or with the right.
I think that's where it's like just like properly sequencing like your steps towards that. I think there's nothing wrong with having that creative vision. I think that's fine. You know, it's not necessarily my vision 100%, but I think you have to sequence it before you get to that. I think like walk, or should, let me take even a step back when it comes to business. Crawl, or should I say maybe get off of your back and roll, then crawl, then maybe prop, then walk, then you can try and start running.
Yeah.
Then sprint. But like you can't just go from 0 to 150 miles per hour. It's just not going to work. You're setting yourself up.
You got to build the base.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's like I like where we're at because it's allowed us to form that base, and with cigar bands, we kind of entered the market where it's like we came from a different industry, like we were in printing, but we were doing 3D printing, and you know I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a cigar expert like yourself. Like yes, I do know a lot about cigars, but I don't consider myself like a generational. Some people we were talking about like that are my age that their dad was a cigar manufacturer, their grandpa was a cigar manufacturer, their great grandpa was a cigar manufacturer. So it's like I'm not one of those kids. We're first generational. So it's like for us, we're just entering the market as yes, we're family owned business. It's a first generational thing. So that's the thing. It's very interesting. I mean, this has been great, man. I don't have anything else really at this point. I think in terms of the podcast, I think the last big thing is like, you know, what advice do you have to someone, like last big question? I think I want to end every single podcast with this. Like they've now been spending 3 or 4 years thinking about doing this. Like what is your biggest advice to enter the market? Like what do you want to give to someone like to close it out? Like, hey, what should you do to get involved? Where should you start? I know you kind of talked about it before, but like you're gonna watch this, man, and they're still not gonna take action. I think a lot of people they just, you know, they'll get there's an art, there's a love for cigars. I think obviously there's an addiction for it, and a lot of people they will surface around this idea of starting a brand or maybe starting a business within the realm of the cigar world. Like to someone who's on the fence that's been thinking about this for a long time, like what is your advice to just move forward? Like where do you think they should start?
Well, one, I really think you should really look into yourself and think about why you want to do it. Now, talk about in terms of making sure you have the passion, because people know all this. Again, cigars is a passionate, is an industry built on passion, and people sense it. People see it. People can feel it. If you don't have that passion, don't do it. That's basically it. If you do have that passion, have that fire behind it, take it. You know, don't waste it. If you already done your research, if you already know what you're gonna do it. Right? When it comes to like obviously a store, right? Let's say a store. There's obviously different factors. If you want to do your own brand, the same thing too. You got to make sure that is exactly what you want to do. If you want to do your own cigar brand, do you want to be the face? Do you just want to be behind the scenes? Like, how do you want to do this? How big do you want to make it happen? But all of these things, what they have in common is you got to start somewhere. And if you don't take that first initial step, it's never going to happen. So that's the main thing. So you got to make sure you're making that first step. It's always okay to be cautious, but sometimes you got to just take a chance. It's a beautiful industry. It's a rewarding industry, but it's also a cutthroat industry, right? And so you got to make sure you have that mentality as well. But again, any kind of business is going to have its struggles. There's no such thing as a turnkey successful business that you could just sit back and relax and just let it go. You have to put in your work. You have to put in the hours. You have to, put in the research. And if you have that passion behind it, it really helps you along the entire way.
Dude, awesome, man. This was really good. You guys heard it from the man himself, Alvaro at Ash Vine. Successful business owner with 3 kids, now coming on his 3rd kid. Yeah. Making this all happen within under a couple years is insane. But, I mean, this is living proof that just starting, you don't know where you're going to end up until you start. And, I'll close it out with this. I would rather start sooner and know that I made the wrong decision sooner than wait 8 years to start, then I made the wrong decision.
Yeah. Don't live
you
your
only
life
get a couple swings. You only get a couple swings in life. So you better swing that.
You missed 100% shots you don't take.
I think that's the best way to close it, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was really awesome. I mean, I really enjoyed this. This was great, man. It's super it's super nice to talk with other people in the space. I don't ever get to do this. I'm always looking at my screen. So we'll be sharing this all on, guys. Please, if you're watching this video, drop a like, drop a comment if you have a question for Alvaro. Make sure you join our community. We're going to be getting him in the community as well. That way, if you do want to just give him some questions or you want to check out his store, if you're in the Fort Lauderdale area, you can come out and, you know, show some support so that way, you know, he can meet you in person.
For sure.
Other than that, guys, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Hola, Raquel. Sí.